Hey, so I had a question about, kind of how to prepare for pre-deployment stuff or even on deployment, how to successfully negotiate a deployment, with a spouse, significant other. And so here are going to be some tips that our mentors recommended us 20 years ago on one of my deployments, and it's been life-changing, game changer. So here are some of the thoughts. Get some relationship books, and for the deploying spouse, let's say you're going to be gone for 6 months, for example, take 6 relationship books, and I'm just giving you an example. You can obviously adjust this, but basically read one book a month. And for example, what we did, my wife and I did, was we said, okay, week 1 of deployment, we're going to read chapter 1 of the 5 love languages. And week 2, we're going to read chapter 2. Week 3, chapter 3, so on and so forth. And at the end, during week 1, for example, for each chapter, what we would do is we would answer the questions at the end of each chapter, and then we would send them to each other. I'd send my answers to Kathy. Kathy would send her answers to me. And then when we would talk, when we, like I say, once a week or whenever we talked that next time, maybe it was 2 weeks between our conversation, then we would have 2 weeks worth of information to go over. And, whether it was email or even handwritten answers, because where I was stationed in Egypt, and our comms back in those days wasn't the greatest. And so sometimes it was handwritten letters. But the point is that you want to talk about learning each other and discovering each other and growing together through a deployment, while 99% of the other couples are growing apart. We are growing together because it's not just like, oh, hey, it's just random conversations this week. No, our conversations are focused, specific. And then I'm reading Kathy's responses, and I'm like, wow. So seriously, you answered question number 1 like that. Like, man, why did you respond that way? What was it like? You know what I mean? So dig into each other's answers. This is an opportunity. Again, it's all about how you look at it, right? So if you look at a deployment like, oh man, we're going to be apart and we're going to, drift apart, then you will. But if you look at it as, man, this is an incredible growth opportunity to build and deepen our relationship, then it will. And we did. We literally, after 6 months, I had a little 6-month deployment. We were literally closer to each other after the 6 months than if we were together, because we had we'd always been pretty intentional about our relationship, but we were never that intentional about our relationship, where literally each week we read another chapter, a chapter in the relationship book. Now, obviously, you don't have to have a deployment to do this. For those of you couples that have discipline, you could do this, not deployed, which is even preferable. But all I'm saying is, when you go on a deployment, this is an excellent way for the couple to grow, number 1, individually, to grow as a couple. And then also, you talk about EQ. This is a way to grow your EQ, specifically in the area of your relationships and stuff. So anyway, hope that helps. And keep notes, right? Keep notes. Study these notes, review these notes. I would even encourage you guys to, another idea is schedule a reminder in your Google reminder. So like, okay, let's say you guys are able to talk once a week, or maybe, once every 2, whenever you talk, right? But set a reminder, like, okay, so every other day or twice a week, I want to remind myself that to review my notes that Kathy sent me. So then I can review my notes and see, and just get to know her better, right? Study. So don't just study what your spouse studies, study your spouse, right? And study what your spouse studies. So, but just to have an opportunity to take some time to make your spouse a priority, to study them in a way that you probably have never studied before, and really help your spouse discover themselves also. Ask them questions. Like, that's another thing too, is make a list of questions for each other. Pick, you can do different books, right? So you can do relationship books, you can do communications books, you can do whatever area you guys feel like you need to work on. Pick the book, and then that's the framework. You can use devotionals too. For those of y'all that have a faith background, a particular faith background, pick a book and a devotional, and you guys can go through the devotional together. So there's personality. There's all kinds of things that you all can do to grow in your relationship, individually and collectively during a deployment. So anyway, hopefully some of those ideas will help you out.